I guess so. You sure?
South Coast है first place start इसी साल के पास
10-5? नहीं ప్రేయర్ అయిపోయినాక
ये 1 year
today's resource person, Mr. Satish Nivarthi, members of the management, administration, heads of the departments, members of teaching staff, and my dear participants. A very good morning to you all. Hope you are all fine and safe. I am S. Latarani, head of the Computer Science Department. It gives me pleasure to welcome you all for 3-day national level workshop on cloud concepts and Oracle Financials organized by Computer Science Department, St. Joseph Degree College, Kurnool. Retaining the Indian culture to restore divinity in us, let us start our workshop inauguration with a prayer song.
Hello.
Now, I feel honored to call the band behind the success of all programs in St. Joseph Degree College, Dr. C.V. Satyanarayana, our beloved Vice Principal, to deliver his keynote address.
A very good morning. Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
A very good morning to the speakers, participants, and organizers of the workshop on cloud
Good morning,
concepts
sir.
and Oracle Financials. It gives me an immense pleasure to speak about our institution, St. Joseph's group of institutions run under the St. Joseph's Educational Society, established in 1965 with 64 students. It is established by our founders, MAP Swamikandu Pillai, S. Chittaranjan, Mr. C. Rojamagaru. The vision was to impart English as a medium of studies in this area where education was not at all available after the independence. It has gradually grown to give a platform for almost 4,500 students to get quality education. The main motto of our institution is age quod ages. It's a Greek proverb which says, whatever you do it well, without any errors, without any faults, without any chance to get corrected. With the same vision and idea, Mr. C. Rojamma in 1994, the secretary and correspondent of St. Joseph's Educational Institutions, has started St. Joseph's College under the principalship of Ms. Y. Shaurilu Reddy, who is presently the senior principal and the main guiding person behind every one of us. In this college, presently, we have intermediate, degree, and PG courses, which makes our institutions recognized as KG to PG. That is, a student who joins as a student in first class can go out with a PG as well. At the intermediate level, we are imparting MPC, BIPC, MEC, and CEC. And at the graduation level, we have mathematics, life science, and commerce as 3 verticals. And we are imparting the quality education to around 3,500 students who are all made future citizens from this platform. So we at St. Joseph's not only teach academics, but give equal attention to discipline, moral values, life skills, soft skills, and many more, which make a student a responsible citizen. So placements is one of the feather in the cap of our college. We uh, place maximum students in our jobs, and they are all placed in multinational companies like Wipro, TCS, Infosys, Capgemini, Deloitte, and not only this, the pharma companies like Dr. Reddy's, Hetero Pharma, Arabindo Pharma, Indian Immunologicals Limited, and many more life science companies visit for the students. And for the commerce students, we have the banking institutions like ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, Stan Chartered Bank, Carvey Consultancies, and many more to name in the line. Our students excel in our curricular and co-curricular activities like and they participate in many various platforms like NSS, NCC, Youth Red Cross Society, Eco Club, where the students participate voluntarily to do the service to the nation. Our students represent the college in many college level, university level, and state level competitions and sports competitions and get many medals. At most attention and care is taken for the students' security and make them comfortable as home through our special initiatives like anti-ragging cell, student harassment cell, career counseling cell, and through CC camera surveillance. So last but not the least, our college organizes many events to make the students acquire entrepreneurial skills once they come out of the college. So in this pandemic situation, all this is possible because of our teamwork of the staff members and the leadership of our senior staff and HODs. In this pandemic situation, I hope every one of us are safe and secure at home, protecting ourselves and people around us from this virus. But this pandemic has given us an opportunity to adopt the technology to change ourselves both for information, entertainment, education, and etc. In case of education system, it has brought about a lot of changes and made every one of us to adopt it, to be in touch with the technology, with the students, and with the faculty members around the globe. And once again, this webinar is also possible because of adoption of that technologies in this pandemic. So using this same platform, we have also conducted several workshops and webinars under the guidance and support of our principal ma'am, Dr. K. Shanta, who is the motivating force behind us. Department of Computer Science, under the leadership of S. Latarani Garu, has not only conducted webinars, but also supported other departments to conduct the webinars, workshops through the faculty members of Computer Science Department. So a big applause to our Computer Science Department. And now this workshop on a cloud concepts and Oracle Financials is one more great initiative from the Department of Computer Science with a topic that is presently providing more opportunities in the world. I'm very happy to say this, that the workshop is conducted by two academicians, generally by academicians, but this is conducted by the two industry experts by S. Anand Prasad Garu, who is Oracle Financial Consultant from Hyderabad, and Mr. Satish Nivatri Garu, who is a global cloud delivery leader and a cloud solution architect from USA. So this makes us global. So I hope we will have a lot to learn from these experts in the next coming 2 days. And I wish a very best to the Department of Computer Science for organizing this workshop, and hope all the participants will have the best take homes or takeaways for the homes in the next 3 days. So thank you once again and all the very best. And thank you for giving me an opportunity to introducing our institution. Thank you. Over to Lata ma'am.
Thank you, Venkat sir. Thank you, Venkat sir. I would like to tell about 3-day national level workshop on cloud concepts and Oracle Financials in a bird's eye view. The workshop mainly focuses on equipping the participants with the knowledge of cloud computing, using real-time examples, and providing the details regarding different career paths that exist after graduation. Along with this, modern financial services available using Oracle is projected to enable the participants in implementing Oracle ERP projects. Areas that are going to be spotlighted during the sessions are the basic concepts of cloud computing and technology, different cloud architectures available, cloud service providers, and advantage of having cloud for an organization. Life cycle stages of Oracle ERP implementation, tools and techniques available to implement Oracle ERP projects. The most awaited moment of listening about and listening from our resource person has come. I invite N. Rajni Kiranmayi, lecturer from Computer Science Department, to introduce resource person of today's session. Over to Rajni ma'am.
Thank you, Lata ma'am. A workshop refers to a training class or a seminar in which the participants work in a group to solve actual work-related tasks to gain hands-on experience. This session aims at equipping the participants with the basic knowledge about cloud computing, as well as gain knowledge about the providers and advantages of having a cloud for an organization with the real-time examples. With the above points, all the participants will definitely come to know how important this session is. For this session, we have an eminent person with us who is of 25 years of result driven with extensive technical application service delivery management, project management, cloud solution certified architect, and implementation service in delivering enterprise applications using technology solutions in a high-tech environment using a complete software development lifecycle. During the course of his career, he held multiple titles as Global Delivery Manager, Technical Delivery Manager, Cloud Solution Architect, Technical Subject Matter Expert, Product Delivery Lead, Technical Development and Support. And he gained a wealth of experience in delivering successful implementation for Fortune's nearly 500 organizations on a multi-tier cloud infrastructure. Technology companies he worked till now include IBM Corporation, Pfizer, Applied Materials, Citigroup, Oracle Corporation, Dow Chemicals, and Thai Prasite Insurance. Till now, you have heard a brief introduction of a resource person of today's session. He is none other than Mr. Satish Nivarthi, who is a recognized technology leader with educational background of computer science engineering degree and master's degree in information management at Vijayanagara Engineering College, Ballari in the year 1994. He is currently working as a cloud solution leader at IBM Corporation in San Ramo, CA, United States. I feel privileged to hand over this time to Mr. Satish Nivarthi. We are very eagerly waiting to listen from you, sir. Please.
Thank you so much, Rajni, Madam, for introducing me. It's actually, and I wanted to tell good morning to all of you. This is the first time I'm seeing about this college. A lot of wonderful things I heard from head of the department, Lata Rani Madam. And again, I saw a beautiful introduction from Venkat sir about the college and what they do in terms of the achievements and everything. It's a wonderful opportunity for me to talk to you all and then try to provide some guidance about the cloud computing and the real-time examples, and then how all the students can see how they can pursue their career after their graduation. Right? Again, I would like to thank especially S. Latarani, who is the HOD of this college, who has talked to me a couple of weeks back, and then she asked me if I can help the students and try to talk about the new technologies and everything. So really, again, this is a good opportunity for me because especially the cloud area is very, very new, and then it's one of the hottest technology evolving around the world. So if you all can focus and then start learning about the cloud, this will be a wonderful opportunity for all the students to develop their career and then prosper. So again, thank you all for giving me the opportunity. So maybe if anything else, we can start the presentation. So, is it okay? Like I'm able to, am I audible clearly, or do I need to increase my microphone or anything?
Yes, sir. That's perfect, sir.
Okay.
Audible, Satish? Okay, you
Yeah.
can start.
Sure. Okay. Let me share my screen, and then we will proceed from there. Huh? Yeah, and also I want to talk about one of my good friend, Anant Prasad, who will be delivering his workshop presentation tomorrow. So he has a wonderful experience in terms of implementing all the Oracle ERP solutions for many multinational companies. So it will be a good opportunity for all the students to listen to him and understand and then develop the career in Oracle ERP. Yeah, Anant, if you are there on the call, good morning to you too. So,
Good morning, Satish.
okay. So let me. Yeah, can you all see my screen?
Yes. Yes,
Okay. Yeah. So
sir.
uh, let's all go on mute. Then maybe any questions or anything. We can do two things. Someone can just post the questions in the chat. We can dedicate some time at the end of the presentation, and then we will discuss about any questions anybody has, and then we can try to answer as much as possible. Okay, so today cloud workshop. I don't want to introduce myself because Rajani madam has given a beautiful introduction about me, about my experience and everything. So let's without going again introducing myself, I will start the presentation. So today's presentation is all about cloud computing and then what the cloud does and then how cloud can help organizations and to develop their businesses and improve the efficiency, productivity of all the in terms of how they can improve the revenue for all their organizations. So I have come up with some agenda for today's presentation because we are all the budding graduates who will be going after the career in terms of after 1 year or 2 years. So I thought maybe I can try to introduce the basic fundamentals about the cloud, and then I can talk about how the cloud can help their career in terms of developing their career, and then what type of jobs, what type of skills they can pursue once they get out of this graduation, and then what type of trainings available, and then how the cloud can help in terms of technology development and everything. So if you see the agenda here, let's first talk about what is cloud, and then we'll go to what is cloud computing, and then we will see how we can deploy cloud resources to multiple organizations. And then then we'll cover about why do we need cloud at all, right? What are the advantages and what are the disadvantages of cloud computing? So we will talk about some of the disadvantages and advantages there, and then we'll talk about what makes the cloud computing, like what is needed in terms of characteristics and everything. So we will again touch base on characteristics, and then we will also discuss about the models, right? Like what model is suited for what type of business. So we will talk about that various different models available in the industry today. And then we will talk about what are each model, what are the pros and cons, and then what type of examples we can talk about for each model. And also next, like how does any organization, whether it is a small or a medium or large business, how do they select a cloud service? Like what factors influence them in terms of the cost, or what is the benefit, and what type of, because for any organization to choose the cloud service, they need to have some advantages, right? Otherwise no point in even going to cloud service. So we'll talk about the factors in one of the topic, and then we will have a short demo about the cloud platforms. How does it look like in a real time situation for any organization? And then we'll talk about the architecture of enterprise applications. Let's focus about the Oracle ERP for this presentation, because tomorrow's session is all about the Oracle ERP, financials and everything, so you all can understand how the Oracle applications can be integrated with cloud architecture. Then then the main part, which is critical for all the students, will come into picture. So it talks about what type of cloud computing technology jobs are available in the market right now. So how do you all go about it? And then we'll discuss about the career paths, like how do you start the career in cloud computing and go all the way to high level. So, and then what are the different cloud certifications are available, right? Because certifications are like sort of like a authentication of any person's ability, whether how much he can or he has the skills to manage this cloud computing, right? So certifications are one of the critical things for any student to pursue in terms of getting the certifications. Then we will talk about the Q&A. We will see based on maybe once this half presentation is over, we will try to give a 5-minute break for any questions, and then we will take the questions, we'll try to answer, and then we'll continue to the next step. And then again, we'll give another section for the end for 10 to 15 minutes. We'll talk about the questions and answers. Okay. Let me move this one. So it is taking a lot of space, especially. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about what is cloud, right? We know only about the cloud, right? When you see the sky, you see a lot of clouds. So is that the cloud what we are talking here? In terms of technology terms, the cloud is basically a software and service that can run on the internet. So you take for any example, if you want to access something over the internet using a mobile phone or a computer or anything else. So whatever you access over the internet, that is nothing but a service. So that is nothing but a software and service which you are trying to access through cloud. So basically, instead of accessing locally through your computer, you will be accessing that somewhere. It's available in the cloud, somewhere which is not visible to you. So that is nothing but the cloud service. So you can access through a web browser or a mobile phone or a Google Chrome. Any browser is available in the market. So if you can access any service which is there outside of your local computer, that is nothing but a cloud service. And then where is it available, right? So we talked about the cloud, right, which is talks about the software and services. So let's talk about where is it. So whatever you are storing locally on your personal device, either it might be a phone or it might be a local computer, whatever you store outside of your local computer is nothing but the cloud. So basically, if you say I have saved a photo in one particular location in iCloud or any particular space, that means you are saving that in cloud. So if you see here the clear definition of where is cloud, instead of being stored directly on your personal device, the cloud is stored elsewhere. If it is stored outside of your local, that is nothing but cloud. So that's where you. I'm hearing some noise. Can you all please go on mute?
Financials.
Yeah, I'm hearing some noise. Okay, can you all go on mute, please? Okay, so this is about like what is cloud and where is cloud. So if you talk about any servers owned by any companies which you are able to access it through internet, that means you are accessing some service in cloud. Okay, so now we talked about what is cloud and where it is cloud, right? So let's talk about what is computing. So computing, as the word itself says, processing, right? So that processing is nothing but the cloud computing. So whatever the processing, it happens over the cloud. I'm talking about cloud here is somewhere outside. It might be a data center or it might be somewhere else which is accessible through internet. That's where the computing happens. So the computing depends upon what type of server you use, and then what is the storage you use, and then what are the type of databases, networking software, or any analytical data. So if you process any of these services, that means you are doing something computing. You're calculating and then trying to utilize the existing cloud resources and try to deliver it some process. It might be a different application, or it might be a connectivity, or accessing the data, or installing something. So this all happens through cloud computing. So basically, cloud computing, it consists of hardware and then the software resources made available on the internet, as they are managed by the third party services. So the third party services are nothing but the cloud providers. So we will talk about more about the third party services and everything in the later slides. So these services typically provides access to advanced software applications, high-end networks of server computers. Okay, so let's, in a pictorial format, so where exactly cloud computing happens, right? So for example, like for example, you all students, or the faculty, or anyone, they're accessing their servers. They will access through a mobile phone or a computer. Then definitely we need a router where you have all the network connections are enabled through the firewalls, are enabled in the router, and then through the network connection you access to the cloud computing. The cloud computing can be anywhere, right? It can be in India, it can be in Japan, or it can be in China or Australia or US, anywhere. So we don't know, because the end user, whoever is accessing this from the computer, he doesn't know where exactly that particular processes are running. So like the cloud computing, different components involved, the servers, and then we have the virtual desktop. We'll talk about what is it, and then is the software platform is needed, and then different applications, and then the storage, right? Like for example, if someone from one of you will try to save a particular document or PDF file to some Dropbox. We all might be hearing about the Dropbox or Box application, right? So if you store that outside of your local laptop, that means you are storing somewhere in the cloud computing. So the Dropbox or the Box, which might be hosted somewhere outside of any data center. So similarly, this one, I'm talking about the end user, like you and me. Like organizations also needs to access from their local company to all the way to the cloud computing resources, right? Similarly, they will have their own switches which are enabled through security, so that only the secured authentication people can access the resources which are available on cloud. So this is like a general overview of how the cloud computing, where exactly the cloud computing exists, and how the end user connects to cloud resources. So we talked about the basic concepts, right? What exactly is the cloud, and then what exactly the cloud computing is all about. So now we'll talk about what are the different types of cloud resources, right? So again, these are all the new words you all need to remember. One is the public cloud, and then one is the private cloud, and one is the hybrid cloud. So this is again, public cloud is nothing but which is outside of the somewhere. There are multiple service providers are available. We'll talk about the third party providers, and then private cloud is nothing but exclusively used by particular organization. For example, if you go and hire a public cloud, some particular space, and then you hire some 10-20 servers there, so that means that particular servers are not just only by you, it will be shared across with multiple companies. So that's one of the public cloud. And then the private means basically it's exclusively used by the companies. Like it's also called as the on premises cloud. And then it talks about hybrid, right? Hybrid is basically best of both the worlds. It's public as well as private. So for example, why do we need a private cloud instead of public cloud? That the main reason for it is some of the companies, they don't want to share their data with other companies. So they want to have a dedicated hardware, dedicated software to access, and then to access the data. For example, if financial companies, they don't want to put their financial data, like confidential data, into public cloud, right? So that sometimes there is a chance that someone can try to hack that and then try to take that data and then use it for their purpose. So instead of that, the providers have come up with three different concepts. One is the public cloud, and one is the private cloud, and one is the hybrid cloud. So let's talk about the public cloud first. Then we'll go to private and hybrid. So public clouds are the most common way of deploying cloud computing. The cloud resources, nothing but the servers and storage, right, which are there in the cloud, are owned and operated by a third party. So this third party can be anything. It can be an Amazon, or it can be an IBM, or it can be a Microsoft, or it can be a Google. There are multiple providers available in the market. We will talk about it later. But that third party can be anywhere, and delivered on. But how do you access it? They access it through internet, and then like some of the examples of public cloud include Amazon Web Service, and then the Microsoft Azure, and then the Oracle Cloud, and then the Google Cloud, and the IBM Cloud. There are a lot of cloud vendors are coming into the market now. So all hardware, software, and other supporting infrastructure is owned and managed by the cloud provider. In a public cloud, you share the same hardware, storage, and network devices with other organizations or cloud tenants. So you might be giving the same space to multiple tenants. So basically that will help to save the cost, but there are some advantages and disadvantages. We'll talk about it. And then you access services and manage your account using a web browser. So I will give a small demo later in the presentation, like how does the public cloud works and all. We will discuss more on that. So what are the advantages of these public clouds? Basically, it lowers the cost. Why does it lower the cost, right? No need to purchase hardware or software, and you pay only for the services you use. For example, a simple example I will tell is the electricity, right? So electricity at your home, how does it work? So basically, however, how many units you use in a particular month, at the end of the month, it calculates like this is what the number of units you have used in a month, and this is the total amount you have to pay for the company, electricity company, right? So same way here, you don't need to buy any hardware or software. You can directly lease it from the third party cloud provider, and then they calculate at the end of the month like how much capacity are you using, how much storage are you using. Based on that, they send you a bill. So this way you don't need to maintain the servers, and then you don't need to maintain the storage. Like for example, if suddenly you're looking for 10 servers for a company, right? I'm just giving a small example. So suddenly if a company wants another 10 servers to be added, so you can do that in a matter of minutes. You can add from 10 servers to 20 servers. So, and then scale up and down depending upon the load and everything. So this, I don't know where your college servers are hosted, but I don't know whether is it hosted by in the college premises itself, or that is the lab and everything, the servers and everything are available outside of the third party vendor. We will talk about it later in the slides. And then another greatest advantage with this public cloud is no maintenance, right? So you don't need to worry about the server patching, like suddenly Microsoft or Oracle or any OS patching, right? Suddenly you may get like there is a security alert from Microsoft. You need to update this particular patch. So then you need to run around and then get that patch applied, and then you need to test it, and then you need to have a resource to do the testing. So these things can be avoided if you are accessing directly the third party cloud provider, right? So they take care of all the maintenances. You don't need to worry at all. And then near unlimited scalability, as I mentioned before, you can scale up the capacity or scale down the capacity, and then you can increase the number of servers. They call it elasticity and scalability. So you can increase horizontally, or you can increase vertically. So for example, if a simple example is some of the financial companies, right, especially during the quarter end or year end, right, they have a lot of load coming onto the system. So at that time, what they do is they increase the resources dynamically without getting any downtime from any of the customer. So that way, they will only pay additional amount during that high usage. The remaining time, what they will do is, if the load on the system is down, they will downscale the systems. So that way they can completely control how much money they are paying to the vendor on a monthly basis. So these things can be controlled with the help of the third party cloud vendor. And then reliability, right? So because they have a reliable network, because there it is hosted across multiple countries, multiple data centers, so you have a highly reliable network. So you can say the server will never go down, and then the network will be always up and running. So you can say 99.99% of the time the servers will be up and running. So this way, you don't need to worry about whether the servers are up or everything. For the end user point of view, anytime the user can connect and try to access the application. So the private cloud. So we talked about public cloud. Let's talk about private cloud. So private cloud, again, same thing in terms of the accessing. It accesses also through the internet or any other network. It consists of computing resources used exclusively by one business or organization. Like for example, there are some companies in US like American Express, and then the Wells Fargo, and then the Chase Bank, and then the Bank of America. Those are like very big financial companies. They don't want to put their data in a public cloud. So they wanted to keep their own data in exclusively in their own data center. Their own data center means even though it is a provider, the third party provider, but there is a private space will be allocated for that company. All the servers which are needed for American Express or Bank of America, they will be put in a separate cage. So that way the data is secured, and then nobody can access the data outside of the organization. So that's the whole advantage of having the private cloud. But in a private cloud, the services and infrastructure are always maintained on a private network, and the hardware and software are dedicated solely to your organization. So you cannot share any of the resources with other companies. Yeah, in this way, a private cloud can make it easier for an organization to customize its resources to meet specific requirements. Private clouds are often used by government agencies, financial institutions, or any other mid to large organizations with business critical operations. Like this is one of the important factor here, business critical, seeking enhanced control over their environment, because especially the security of the data is very critical for any of the government agencies and financial institutions. So that's why they prefer to have their own private cloud. They host their own data in their environment. Like what are the advantages of private clouds, right? One is more flexibility, because it is entirely dedicated for you. Organization can customize its cloud environment to meet specific business needs. And then improved security, this is one of the biggest factor having the private cloud. Resources are not shared with others, so higher levels of control and security are possible. We'll talk about some examples. So high scalability, like private clouds still afford the scalability and efficiency of a public cloud. The only disadvantage with private cloud is it costs more, because you need to have a dedicated exclusively computing resources you need to develop. So this private cloud costs little bit more than the public cloud. So that's why this all this industry, they have come up with different options for the organizations. It can be a public cloud, or it can be a private cloud, and there is a third one. Let's talk about it. That is nothing but hybrid. So hybrid is nothing but the combination, right? That itself tells the definition. So basically, it's a best of the public and best of the private. So both combined characteristics, we can call it as a hybrid cloud. So combine on-premises infrastructure or private clouds with public clouds, so organizations can reap the advantages of both. Like, for example, one organization, they want to keep the security of the confidential data in private cloud, and then the non-confidential data they can put it in public cloud. So they can develop a hybrid model of cloud, and then they can try to utilize the best of both. For instance, you can use the public cloud for high volume, lower security needs, such as any email, and the private cloud or any on-premises infrastructure for sensitive business critical operations like financial reporting or financial data, or anything which is very sensitive information for the company. So they can split couple of services putting on public cloud and couple of services on private cloud. So this also an industry option is available. And then this is when the application or resource runs in the private cloud until there is a spike in demand, such as a seasonal event like the online shopping or tax filing, right? When especially when any business, any critical festival time, everybody knows that, especially for Diwali or Dasara time, the online shopping will increase, right? So at the time, they can try to add resources dynamically. That way, they can only pay high amount during that high volume month, and the remaining volume months they can try to reduce the scalability. So that way they can control the cost. So that will really help them in terms of budgeting and everything. And then what are the advantages, right? Like control. Organization can control a private infrastructure for sensitive assets. So this is one of the good advantage, especially for government organizations and financials, and in anywhere we have the sensitive data. And then the flexibility. Take advantage of additional resources in the public cloud when you need them. And then cost effective. This is one of the biggest thing any CEO or CFO try to see how they can reduce the cost, right? That is one of the critical goal for any CEO. So the ability to scale to the public cloud, you pay for extra computing power only when needed. So these three factors makes the hybrid cloud one of the good option for any organization to have. So we talked about sorry. Yeah, we talked about the public clouds, and then there are a lot of vendors available. And then we talked about the private clouds. It's like a dedicated infrastructure. And then we talked about the hybrid. It's a combination of both dedicated as well as the public. Okay, so let's now talk about we talked about the three different ways of deploying the cloud resources, right? Now why do we need cloud at all, right? Why can't how can you survive without cloud? Is it possible? But based on the industry where we are going, every company you take, small or medium or large, everyone is moving towards cloud infrastructure. So if they are not moving to cloud, that means the company is going bankrupt in the next 5 to 10 years. So that's the industry standard. So everybody has to go to cloud. There is no option for them. For example, take insurance company. Insurance company's main business is what? So they wanted to sell the policies, and they wanted to sell the policies of life or general or whatever it is, right? Their main business is selling the policies and try to increase the revenue. So the same company, if they spend millions of dollars and try to create their own data center and then their own staff, to maintain all those applications, and then they will try to hire a lot of people in maintaining the storage network, and then how do you back up the data. So those things, right? So unnecessary insurance company, instead of focusing on their business, they are diverting their attention to infrastructure, and then they're trying to maintain and then sustain the business. So there a lot of money is getting wasted there, and then a lot of energy and lot of resources are getting wasted. So instead of that, they can just focus on insurance, selling policies, and then leave the entire management of this cloud infrastructure to third party, right? So they will maintain everything, so you will not have any hassles to worry about, and then you just focus on your business and try to increase the revenue. So that's the main advantage of why do we need a cloud, right? Freedom to access your apps and data from different internet connected devices. Maintenance is automatic, and there is less to manage on your end. You don't have to worry about installing software updates. All happens in the cloud. So even that any end user, they don't know itself where that particular server exists. He just logs in using the user ID and password, and then he access it. And then a lot of advantages, right? These advantages keep growing as the industry starts using more and more. So on demand infrastructure, reliable and secure, we already talked about, because it's a network very secured. Only the authorized user through the networks, firewalls and everything, they are allowed to access any of the servers. You can control the security of accessing, who can log in, who cannot log in. These things can be controlled using the common security protocols. And then scalable, right? You can bring up the services, like bring up the capacity by adding more CPU, more memory, or more storage when needed. And you can even bring down these three, capacity and then number of servers, memory and storage, when it is not used, right? The biggest advantage is pay for what you use, right? You don't want to pay something which is sitting idle at home. Like for example, a company who is hosting their own application in-house, so they will be having 100 different servers, and then they customize, and then they start using the applications. But once the load is down on their applications, they are just paying for the resources where it is not getting used. So the biggest advantage is you can only pay what you use. They have a billing and capacity details, where they calculate how much you are using on a month to month basis, and then that based on that they pay as you go. Similarly, like it's how you use the electricity. If you have 100 units you are using per month for your home, you just pay for that 100 units. And then when it is summer, you use more AC and then more fan, right? So the units go from 100 to 200. So you pay more during the summer and you pay less during the winter. So like similarly, exactly, the organizations also, they can pay when they have the high volume of the data. They can pay less when they have the less volume of the data. So, and then this is very important, free up staff during the redundant tasks. If we have the on-premises servers, so you need to hire a lot of people. You need to hire the people who can maintain the servers, and then people, you need a network skill resources, and you need a OS resources where they can install the patches and everything, and then you need an application resources. You need basically everybody to manage particular servers. You need to hire, and then you need to spend money on them. Instead of that, if you give the same service to cloud provider, so they take care of all the resources, right? You don't need to worry about like who is maintaining the network, who is maintaining the backups, who is maintaining the patches, because it's all automatic. So the resources are getting freed. Like that way, company can save a lot of money in not hiring the unwanted resources. The cost savings we all talked about, they're like every step of the way there is a cost benefit for the company. And then this can be used by a small business or a large business. Any business can be hosted on cloud services. It can be a private or public or a hybrid. So accessibility, right? This is one of the critical thing, right? So every cloud provider, if you are not giving the proper accessibility, like for example I call it uptime. So if network is keep going down on a particular cloud provider, what does that mean? That means they are not giving proper accessibility and reliability of their services. So accessibility is one of the biggest advantage, because all the cloud providers, they are now coming up with saying 99.999%, they say the network is up, the servers are up, and then everything is up and running. So basically you can assume literally zero downtime. So for example, if you log into google.com, right, if you are doing something on google.com, you're trying to search something, suddenly if you say Google is down, what will you do? So immediately the productivity of any person around the world will come down, right? That will impact on Google also. So Google has their own Google platform where they host this Google related services on their cloud services. So they are saying any of the Google platform which is hosted on Google Cloud, it is 99.99999 up and running. So you will never see a downtime from these applications, the biggest applications, which are used across the world 24 by 7. Every minute you see like millions of transactions are hitting the server, right? So the server will never go down. So that's one of the advantages of having the cloud service. And then access to automatic patching updates. This already we talked about. Everything can be controlled by the cloud provider itself. You don't need to worry about patches or security updates. So like these are all hassle free. And then the biggest one is the business continuity. Like for example, every day you take for example any bank, right, the State Bank of India or any other bank. So millions of people across India, they go and deposit money, and then they withdraw money, they transfer one account to another. These things will happen. So what happens if we don't have a backup and recovery plan in place? So suddenly if SBI application is down, and then nobody is able to log in, and then what happens? Like the whole business continuity of State Bank of India will be in trouble, right? So the biggest thing is backup and recovery. Whatever the transactions are going into the financial institution, everything needs to be backed up. And then in case if we something happens, like if the application is down due to some circumstances, you need to recover it back to where it was died, right? So these backup and recovery are one of the biggest factors for any organizations. Without proper backup, the company will fail. So the biggest advantage with cloud is they automatically take the backups, and then they will also recover it if needed. So these things will automatically managed by the cloud provider. And then the last one is the disaster recovery. Disaster recovery is again, without this, no company will survive. So what happens when particular, for example, State Bank of India, I'll take the same example, is hosted in one data center in Delhi or Bombay, for example. I'm just giving. So something happens, and then there is a biggest natural disaster happened, and then the entire data center is wiped out. So what happens then? The State Bank of India, they cannot even survive, right? So what happens? The entire system will be down, and then nobody can do any transactions. So basically, we can say that the company will go bankrupt within short period of time. So that's why disaster recovery is very important. So what disaster recovery means? So whatever the transactions you are doing on one particular server, the same thing will be synced across a different data center. Like for example, you have one data center in Bombay, and then one data center in Delhi, and then the other data center in Calcutta. So the same data will be backed in Mumbai and Delhi and Calcutta at the same time. So if something happens to Mumbai data server, immediately the users will be switched to Delhi data center. If Delhi something happens to Delhi, automatically users are switched to Calcutta. So this way, any point of time, your application is up and running without any issues. So this is what every company is needed, right? So that's why what they do is between two data centers, they will give at least 300 to 400 kilometers or 500 miles distance they maintain between two data centers. Like for example, in the US, if you take one data center, if it is in Phoenix, and the other data center will be in Dallas, totally different state. So something happens to the Phoenix data center, so there is always a way you can transfer the users to another data center. So there are a lot of advantages are there with using the cloud services. So let's go to the next topic. Okay, so now we talked about how do we deploy the cloud resources, right? And then there are different models are available. Like the customers can choose what they want, because you cannot say always I want everything which is available in cloud, right? So they can select what they want. So again, the cloud industry has come up with three types of services. One is called SaaS, and one is called uh, OS, and then one is called PaaS. So basically, like software as a service, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service. So these three options. Can you go on mute, please? Okay. So the industry has given three options to any CEOs or CFOs or whoever is the decision makers of the company. So they have these services. So let's talk about what is SaaS, and what is infrastructure as a service, and what is platform as a service. Okay. Yeah, we talked about on-premise, right? So software that is installed in the same building as your business. So there are a lot of disadvantage with this, because if something happens to the building, then everything will be wiped out. So that's why you every industry, they will be choosing one of the option, like again one or two or three, depending upon what they want for their business. Either they can go to infrastructure, or they can go to platform, or they can just go to software. So take for example on premises, right? Everything you have to manage. You have to manage applications, and you need to maintain. You need to manage the data, and you need to manage how do you back up the data, and how do you recover the data, and then you need to maintain all the servers, and then any patches, or any storage, or if networking, you need, if you want to uh, maintain the network, it is not an easy for a big organization, because a lot of traffic will be going through that network, and you need to have a very costly network in place to handle the on-premises environment. So if you talk about the infrastructure as a service, some companies they say, I have my own servers, and I have my own storage, I have my own network. I just need to buy from you the applications. I just need to buy the OS, like whether it is a different operating systems are available, right? It can be Windows, or it can be Linux, or it can be AX. So any of the infrastructure which is there on the cloud. So we have a multiple options here. Like they can just buy virtual servers and storage from the cloud provider, and then they have their own applications and data and runtime. Similarly, for a platform, you can buy everything from cloud provider. Like others means I'm talking about here the cloud provider. So you can have the operating system, the servers, the storage, networking, everything is maintained by the third party cloud provider, and then you manage the applications and data. So this way, you'll have control of applications, what you do, and then everything is managed by the third party provider. So, for example, software as a service. Software as a service, that means everything is managed by someone. You just log in and then use it. So, the biggest example for this software as a service is your email, right? So, what do you do with email? You just log in to Gmail and then that's it. So, you access the service. So right now you're paying free of cost for any email, right? So if you go to any other subscription in terms of Dropbox or Box, when you cross some limit, so you need to pay as a monthly how much storage you use. Based on that, you have to pay as a service. So the biggest advantage with this software as a service is you just log in. Don't worry about whether it is who is maintaining it, whether my emails are backed up, or where exactly network is stored, and then what type of applications, middleware. You don't need to worry about, as you just come, log in, and then access it, and then close it, log out, and go get out. So these things can be accessed as a software as a service, and then platform and infrastructure. So you have multiple options available for any decision maker of the organization, and then they access this servicing models. So let's go to the next page and talk about what is infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure as a service is basically pay as you go. We talked already about it in previous models. So how much storage you use and how much networking you use. Networking, I'm talking about how many requests it hits it based on how much load it is taking, and then how many virtualization of servers. So these things, based on that, you just pay whatever you need. And then basically infrastructure gives a alternative to on-premises infrastructure, so businesses can avoid investing in expensive on-site resources. So this is one of the biggest advantage. You don't need to spend a lot of money in hiring multiple resources for the company. Instead of that, they can just give it to a cloud third-party provider, and then they take care of all the monitoring and resources and backup and all those recoveries and everything. So how do you access infrastructure? You just access through internet with proper credentials and everything for the company. So just maintaining an on-premise IT infrastructure is costly, right? So that's why the IaaS has a very good advantage, and it often requires a significant investment in physical hardware, and then you will probably need to engage external IT contractors to maintain the hardware and keep everything working and up to date. So this is one of the biggest advantage. So the companies save tons of money every year by giving it to the cloud provider. There are a lot of cloud providers are available. So if you want to add a server, you can go through Amazon Web Service or Oracle or IBM, or like a lot of, like, at least 15-20 cloud providers are available. So you can go anywhere and then try to get the infrastructure. And the platform, right? The platform itself says vendor specific, and then provides the hardware and software over the internet, and people use their tools to develop applications. So platform as a service users tend to be developers. So like you all students, once you graduate and join some company, right? So you all will be start your careers as a developer. Like developer is developing something, writing programs and everything, right? So that application platform might be in the cloud provider. So what you do is, using the client tool, you connect to that platform, and then you try to write the code. So you don't need to worry about where is my code is getting saved, whether the application, once you deploy, whether who is taking the backups. Everything is done as a platform as a service. So for you developer, you can just focus on the code, and then try to build something which is needed for the application. So again, platform is primarily used by the developers who are building softwares or applications or anything. Like if you're writing a mobile application, whether it's an Android or iOS, so you just need a platform to develop something, right? So that platform is hosted in cloud as a platform as a service. So developers don't need to start from scratch when creating applications, saving them a lot of time and money on writing extensive code. So there are a lot of open source codes, libraries are available there. You can just try to use the templates and then try to develop the code. So it will save a lot of time for developers. Yeah, this is again, platform as a service is a very popular choice for businesses who want to create unique applications without spending a fortune on taking all the responsibility. So it's kind of like a difference between hiring a venue to put a show. This is actually a very good example. Suppose if you want to conduct a marriage, what will you do? You will just go to the marriage booking hall, and then you will say, I want marriage hall for 3 days, and then you will just book it and then pay the advance and come back. So that is nothing but platform as a service. You are just using their platform for a period of time. Once it is done, you are getting out. So imagine if we don't have this service. So if you want to conduct a marriage, so okay, do you build a complete marriage hall from building, and then the constructing the marriage hall itself will take like 6 to 8 months or more than a year, right? And then you use it for couple of days, and then you that's it. You don't want anything to do with marriage hall now. So same thing, the biggest advantage is go and hire it for a couple of days, right? So same way, if you think in this way, compare it with platform as a service. You just go there, hire it for some time. If you don't want it, just that's it. If once you're done developing the application, close it, test it out, deploy it, and then okay, that's it. I'm done. I'm signing off. So I don't want to pay any more money. So the biggest advantage for developers, as it mentioned, and then all their time and brain power will go on creating, testing, and deploying the app. So you don't need to worry about where is the marriage hall, and then how do we construct a marriage hall, and then like what is the design of the marriage hall. So you don't need to worry about all those unwanted things, right? Your main focus is just developing the application, like conducting the marriage. Like I have hired the hall, now decorate it and then conduct the marriage and then make everyone happy who is attending, and that's it, right? That's the end of the marriage. So same way, your focus should be on your development skills in creating and testing and deploying the application. So this is one of the biggest advantage. Again, you all will see it once you go out of the college and then you will start working. So this is one of the thing you will be using beginning at the initial stage of your career. And the last option is the software, right? Software as a service. Software as a service, it's basically it's a platform. It's available to users over the internet. Again, everything is over the internet for a monthly subscription fee. And then with software as a service, you don't need to install or run software applications on your computer, right? Everything is available over the internet when you log into your account online. You can usually access the software from any device, anytime with an internet connection. The same goes for anyone else using the software. All your employees will have personalized logins suitable to their access level. So the biggest example for this is the Gmail, right? Gmail and the Facebook. What do you do with Facebook? You just log in and then you post some messages, read some messages, and you like it or comment it, and then you get out, right? So you don't know where this particular Facebook is running, right? What you do is you just need login ID and password. You log in and access, and that's it. Same thing for Gmail, for Dropbox, and the Salesforce enterprise application, and then the Google and Apple Music. Are many applications which are there. Like there are thousands of applications which are running on software as a service. So many people, right, they use this software as a service model. Even for example, you just log into Netflix and then you access some movies, watch it, and then you log out, right? That's it. So you don't know where that movie is coming from, where it is hosted. That doesn't matter for you. You just pay a monthly fee of whatever is the 500 rupees per month, or like $10 per month. So you just pay it, that's it. You're done. Pay as you go. Yeah, for example, you want to know that you will continue to send and receive emails without needing to fiddle with your email settings or your updates. You don't need to worry about whether email server, who is getting patches are updated, and then who is maintaining it, when are they doing the maintenance, how much storage they have. You just don't need to worry about it. You just log in, use it, and get out. So this is like let me think. Yes. Can you see the full screen? Okay, so basically, this is one good example. Pizza by the service, right? So how does pizza compare to these four services? So on premises traditional approach, right? So made at home. So if you make everything from scratch, pizza at home, and then eat it, that means that's an on premises. So what all the things you need? You need a dining table, you need a gas stove, and then you need an oven, and you need a fire, and then you need a pizza dough, tomato sauce, toppings, and cheese. So you need to buy everything and then start preparing from scratch. It takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of money, and then effort, right? And same thing, if you say infrastructure as a service, it is basically a take and bake. So you just go to the pizza shop, buy the base, and then all the toppings, come home and make it like oven, fire. You just use your own home equipment, and then try to generate the pizza, make the pizza and eat it. Similarly, platform as a service, right? So everything is outside except you come home, and then pizza will be delivered. You use your own dining table, and then whatever is the water or soda, if you like, and then eat it. That's it. So it's basically pizza delivered. So this is an example for platform as a service. Like last one is software as a service, like we mentioned about, right? The Gmail or Facebook. What you do, you just log in, access it, and then log out, right? Same thing. If software as a service, you go to a restaurant, you sit there, order pizza, and then they do everything for you. You pay the bill and get out, right? So this is the like example of how the differences between on premises and infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. Okay, what's the time? Okay, so there are multiple platform providers are there in the market. There are literally, I can say, at least 50 providers are there, but some of them are more popular. It's like one of the biggest market for cloud is the Amazon is the one which is taking almost 80 to 90% of the world market. It is called AWS, and then the Azure is from Microsoft, and then Salesforce is used exclusively by like enterprise organizations, and then we have an IBM cloud which is coming up, and the Google cloud, and then the Oracle cloud. There are a lot of vendors are there. People can choose, and it is very competitive, right? Similar to how you shop around for shoes or clothes or anything. Similarly, you can shop around for multiple cloud providers, and then you can try to bargain which is the best price for our company, and then based on that you can bid and then try to sign up the contract. So these are the vendors available. And then before we go to short demo, let's talk about what factors influence for any company, right? To take what type of factors a company or a CEO or CFO can see, depending upon what to decide in terms of selecting the cloud service provider. So the important thing is the infrastructure, right? So how reliable is the infrastructure? Whether is it easy to access or is it complicated in terms of the design, and then where are these data centers? Are they reliable data centers? So those factors will play an important role in selecting the cloud platform. And then the data center setup, right? Like for example, if you are in India, and then if you choose a data center which is in all the way in Africa, it may not be suitable for you, because the network from Africa to all the way to India, there will be definitely there are a lot of latency and everything, right? You don't need to select a platform where the data center is somewhere else. So you need to look proximity to your area and select the data center. And then the backup, almost every service provider offers a data backup facility. So we need to understand like what type of backups they are providing. Is it a weekly backup or a daily backup or a monthly backup? How soon they can recover? So these factors decide whether I wanted to go with this provider or not. And then the business continuity, right? Business continuity and disaster recovery. So this is one of the important factor, people look for it. Like if something happens to my servers, my data, so how are they trying to protect it? So these things. And then is the disaster recovery plan is in place or not? So that's one of the factor which any decision maker will look for selecting the platform. And then the uptime, right? The uptime, I select some provider where the servers is always going down, right? I don't want that. I want always the servers to be up and running, accessible, and then good performance. So the uptime, again, people say like some cloud providers provide 99.99% uptime, and some say I will give you 99.999% uptime, and someone will say 99.5% uptime. So depending upon what you want, the cost varies, like how much uptime you need. So those factors also play important role. And then the service level agreements, right? Like whether in time, in case, like for example, if my server is down, like how soon they will recover it back. So those type of service level agreements we need to decide and document before we sign the contract. And then what is their support model? So if something happens to the server, or if I want to add additional storage, or if I want to add additional capacity, how fast they support. Like for example, you all students, once you graduate, join some company, so you will be doing all these things like supporting and managing the cloud platforms, right? So you're all will be one of the backend team which will be helping all the companies. And then the pricing, right? So for all these services, what is the best price? So that also helps the organizations to decide. And then help in transition to cloud. Like suppose for example, if some organization, they are hosting the application on premises and they wanted to migrate to cloud, so what is the best strategy that cloud provider can provide in moving from one source to another destination cloud vendor? So these are all the like critical factors, in general, for any organization look for it. So choosing the right cloud provider is not a choice, it is an absolute necessity. So we cannot just like that go and select the vendor. We need to do proper research and select the vendor. The cloud provider is expected to offer a high standard of services at an affordable rate. The services include round the clock support with quick response and resolution. So if support is not good, there is no point in going to that cloud platform provider, right? Because if something is down and nobody is responding, then definitely you'll be seeing a lot of angry customers waiting to send the feedback. So that will be a bad reputation for the company, and then that will impact the business, and then that will lead to losses. Okay, so let's
ఒక 40 minutes లో అయిపోతుంది.
okay, so let's quickly, like time is about now 10:53. We have another 40 minutes. Let's quickly go to demo. I will show you what type of example, how does the public cloud looks like, right? Okay, I'm just going into some cloud provider. I'm selecting IBM for now, just to show you guys. So basically, whoever sign ups for the cloud provider, so they will be getting a login ID and password. Again, these login ID and passwords, they will be provided for the authorized people. And then you can see, I'll just randomly show you what all the services are available. Okay, so there are different services are available for a company. Compute is nothing but where you create the servers, and then you can say I want 20 servers or 30 servers or 40 servers, and what type of operating system, whether you want a Windows or Linux or AX or Ubuntu, any operating system is available. And then what type of networking. So you can select the network, and you can select the storage, and you can select the
Satish
you
garu,
can,
can you share your ID?
oh, you're not seeing it?
Yeah, yeah. Only PPT is seen.
Oh, sorry about it. One second. Let me. Thanks for telling me. I'll share full screen.
Thanks.
Can you see now?
Yeah, now it's fine. Thank you. Now it's fine.
Okay, sorry about it. Okay, I was sharing only the people. Okay, so this is like basically one of the cloud provider. I selected IBM just to show you an example. So once you log into again, once you log into this cloud using the internet, so there are multiple services are available for any end user to access these cloud services. So one is the compute, and then let's talk about compute later. And then there are networking, what type of networking is needed, and then what is how much storage is needed, and what are the different types of databases a company needs. So these things can be selected using the cloud. Like for example, I want to, yeah, can you go on mute please?
Arshita, can you mute yourself? Arshita,
I think Venkat, you can mute everyone.
yeah, it's already muted, sir, but she got unmuted. So you can unmute yourself, sir.
Okay, so basically you can select any of these options, like compute or networking or storage or databases, and then you can create your own servers and your own network and your own storage, your own databases. So whatever you select here, that is exclusively used for that company. Like for example, let's talk about quickly because we don't have much time. I don't want to go into deep dive on the first session. Okay, so for example, if I want to have a server to be created, so I can enter the server name. Okay, I can enter the server name, and then I can select. I can select where do I want my server. So like because I can select the server to be created in Dallas or Frankfurt or Sydney or Washington DC or Tokyo. So depending upon where I want the server to be created, I can select it. I can select and generated, and then I can also select the image, like whether I want a Linux machine or I want a Windows server, I want a Ubuntu Linux or CentOS or GNU Linux. So depending upon what you want, all the predefined images are stored in the system. So you can select what image needs to be applied for that particular server, and also it will tell you how many CPUs and what type of RAM, and then how much is the speed for that server. You can set based on what option you select, the price varies. And then this is a security key, we don't need to worry about it. And then how much storage you want, like for that server. So these things can be selected dynamically. And then imagine I can create 1,000 servers in a matter of minutes. The same thing if you want to install 1,000 servers with Linux operating system, storage, and database and everything. Imagine how much time it takes for if you want to do everything on premises. It takes at least, just to create 1,000 servers, it takes at least 6 to 8 months for you. Make sure that everything is up and running and everything. Here in this, I can create 1,000 servers in a matter of 1 hour. So this is one of, like, and then I can pay what I create. Same thing, right? Like similarly, tomorrow Mr. Anant will cover more on the databases, right? So I'll just quickly tell. Suppose if I want to create a Oracle database, how much time it takes to install the Oracle database, and then how much time it takes to configure for a particular ERP application. So in this case, it's already, the database image is pre-built. I can just select this option and then I can create the database within seconds. And then as soon as I pay the money, and then I get a login ID for that particular server using IP address, and then I can connect it, and then I can access the database. See how fast I can access the cloud service. So same thing, right? Server. If I want a Windows server, I can just quickly select it where I want, how much capacity I want. I can just process it, pay the money, and then I'll get the IP address and then password for login ID and admin user ID and password. I can just connect it and then access it. So these are all the services the cloud provider provides. You can customize how you want, like the security, how I want to security, who is the main security administrator, who can control what type of servers. I can give only one person access to one server. I can give two people access to database, and then they can only read only for few people. So those security can be controlled completely with the help of this admin cloud. That's what we are platform. So similarly, this is one example. Let me quickly go to another. Yeah. AWS cloud. Yeah. Yeah, same thing. This is another provider, one of the biggest provider currently in the world. So if you see here their products, so these are all the things. Similarly, what we have seen in IBM Cloud, they have their own products. So they can do the compute, they can create the servers, and then they can create the databases. So basically, if you think about architecture, right, every service provider, they provide similar options. The only thing is who is good. Like for example, if you go to a clothes shop or shoe shop, you will have multiple clothes to select, right? Same here, you just test it out, which one is good for you. You try it out. If it is good, just buy it, right? Same thing. If you see here, the services are provided by any cloud vendor are same, but how reliable are they, how good they are they, and then how network speed, and then the cost, and then the support, that depends upon who does the best job. They get the opportunity for that company will host that applications on their cloud provider. So this is again, this is Amazon Web Service. Similarly, you can go to you all can Google it out later. Once the session is done, you can do some research on Azure. You can do research on Google Cloud. You can do research on, there are a lot of cloud providers are there in the market. You can try to understand more on the cloud providers. Okay, let's go back to. Okay, so we talked about before, like what factors influence the cloud, right? So the next we talk about the architecture. Like tomorrow anyway, you will be having a detailed session on the ERP. I don't want to go into detail. Anant will explain more tomorrow about how the ERP architecture looks like. But if you talk about the high level architecture, right? Think about it. Think this as a cloud, okay? And then this is where the customer access the application through internet. So he comes here, and then there is an application layer here, and there is a database layer here, and then there is a load balancer. Depending upon how many users are accessing, it distributes the load across different application and web servers. And then where is the storage, like where exactly the data is getting stored in the block storage. So these are all the different components of the cloud provider. Like there is a block storage is a service, application is a service, and then the database is a service, and then load balancer is a service, and then the virtual cloud network is a service, and then these are all the dynamic routing gateways. These are all the network protocols. So how do you access from outside to this application and web server, right? So if you talk about this small cylinder, this is nothing but the firewall. So only authorized people can enter into this firewall and access the application and web. And then how do they come out? So this is the top security layer. It's called dynamic routing gateway, and inside there are firewalls. So there are multiple layers of security before you access the application. So for the end user, nobody knows what's happening in the background, right? They just come there, they log in, and then they use Facebook or Gmail or any other application, they log out and go out. But if you talk about where exactly the components are getting stored in the cloud, so this is what it looks like. So there is an internet gateway here. So it will only allow people who are access, like who has the proper authorization credentials. And then once it comes and it hits the load balancer, the load balancer will see which particular server is having less traffic. Like take for example Google, right? How many people in the world will be using Google server at any point of time? Single, at least 500 million people will be accessing the system at any minute, at any second, right? So imagine the load on this application and web servers of Google. So I'm just putting 3 here for Google. Just guess how many application and web servers will be. There are at least 10,000 application servers and 10,000 web servers will be processing the data for all the things people are searching and accessing all the data. So to maintain this much data in one particular cloud, it's not an easy task. So you need a lot of skilled resources to maintain this cloud infrastructure and then developing the apps and everything. So again, I don't want to spend much time on this. The VPN is again, how do you connect servers from the customer network? Yeah, so let's talk about now we have talked about the cloud, right? The concepts and everything. But for students, like you are all there now in the final year computer science, and then once you go out of college, and then you need to know what you need to start looking to get a career in cloud computing, right? So there are a lot of top cloud computing skills are in demand, like the migrations and deployment, and then the machine learning and artificial intelligence, and then the database skills, the programming languages, and then the architecture of any serverless. There are a lot of NoSQL databases and SQL databases, anything related to it, cloud running. You need a person to administer, right? Administer, develop new enhancements and everything. So you need people in all these areas. And then system and platform certifications, and then develop DevOps. So DevOps is a new word people are using in the market, where you develop something and then push it to test environment, and then make sure to test everything and then put it into production. So this complete cycle from development all the way to production, it is nothing but the development operations. So it's called DevOps. So DevOps resources are very much in demand now. So if you learn about DevOps tools, so you have a very good career in the market right now. So if you think about the overall cloud market, right, how it has evolved, there are multiple reports are there from different net enrich report. This is one of the biggest researcher where they do market analysis how many companies are using cloud and how much they are spending on an annual basis. And then there are SolarWinds, another report. So if you talk about these people, they have done some research from 2017 and 2018, and then they projected 2021 how it will be. So imagine in 2017 companies have spent 153 billion dollars. This is billion, not million, billion. So $1 billion they have spent on cloud infrastructure, and then in 2018 it's almost 186 billion dollars. The same thing in 2021. Look, from 2018 to 2021, almost double the amount the, the companies have spent in developing the infrastructure, because now every company is moving towards cloud service provider, because they don't have option to develop their infrastructure, to maintain someone, because it's easy to handle, less maintenance, cost effective. There is no choice for any company, everybody has to move to cloud. So there, like, almost people have done some research based on the resumes, right? There are a lot of markets are available, the job portals, right? The Monster and then the Indeed, different websites. So the number of jobs which are posted in different websites who are hiring, that has increased 121% from 2013 to 2017. So now if you talk about 2021, this has become more than 300%. So this again, I'm talking about the salary levels in United States. I don't know the exact number in India, but definitely every company, take any company in India, name it, they are looking for cloud engineers. So you need to learn. Once you go out of the college, you all don't have a choice. You need to do some sort of a cloud skills, develop some skills, and then start applying. We'll talk about more detail in the next slide. Okay, so what are the different career paths, right, for available for you all students who are getting graduated in 1 to 2 years, right? So cloud engineers can take number of different career paths. So some of the most in demand roles in this particular cloud field are listed here, like software engineers, right? Definitely you need people to do something, develop something, and then maintain it, and then think about more new innovations and everything. So these are all the people who are needed, like software engineers, and then software architects, and then development operations engineers, it's called DevOps, and developers, and then cloud engineers, data engineers, database administrators. And then in terms of pure development, you need a Java skills, you need a like data scientist. Data scientist is, you're getting so much data is getting uploaded every day, right? How do you analyze the data? So those the scientists related, data scientists is one of the popular things which is going on right now, like cognitive science, those type of fields which are more getting popular. And then systems administrator, and then Java developers, .NET developers, front end, back end, you name it. You name anything in the technology field, you need those skills in cloud. And then, like, how does anyone can become a cloud engineer, right? So the important thing is you need to have some skills, the programming languages, right? Everybody has to develop the skills on programming. Like cloud engineers typically have at least a bachelor's degree in computer science, that's you all have it, or information technology. And then those in the field often have years of software development and working with a variety of programming languages such as Java, Angular, C++, and Python. There are tons of other programming languages are there. So again, any programming language can be used in cloud. And then other useful skills include DevOps, Docker, and Linux. Again, these Docker, Linux, once you go out of the college and start working, so you will be hearing more these words, especially what are Dockers and what are containers, and then Kubernetes. So, and then how do you deploy the master nodes, control nodes, using the CI/CD pipeline. So CI/CD is the continuous improvement, continuous delivery, right? So these are all the things which you will be using on a day-to-day basis in any company. And then how do you administer the database, because you have tons of data getting loaded every minute, every second, right? So how do you administer that data? So these are all the things needed to become a cloud engineer. But like for example, right, without you may be a very good hands-on and then good skilled resource on programming and everything, but there are lot of certifications every company conducts, like a different career path for certifications. Take for example AWS or Microsoft or Google. Every company has come up with their own certification path, right? So for example, if someone comes to me with the resume, like both have a similar 10 years experience, and then one with certification, one without certification, so what I will do, I will choose a person with certification, right? Because certification means he's officially got certified by completing some training and completing some exam, and he got officially certified. So I will always prefer the person with certification than the person without certification. So it is very important for you all, as soon as you complete the degree, and start thinking about certifications, because certifications provide a large value when you apply for jobs. Even the salary levels will increase when you show official certification. And then there are multiple paths are available. You can just search like cloud certification path for AWS or Azure or IBM or Cisco or Oracle. So you get the complete path. How do you start it and how do you finish different levels of certification? So I suggest every one of you, okay, to have the certification in the next 1 to 2 years. Even even it's a beginner level, that is okay, because there are a lot of different certifications available. For example, if you take the AWS, so you have the practitioner and then architect, developer, operations roles along with so if you take any technical area, right, you have one certificate. So just study that material, get certified, and then officially you can, that certificate on your name will be there lifelong. So any job, whatever you apply, whether it's in India or US or anywhere, people look for certification, especially when you're applying for cloud. Microsoft Azure, and then Google Cloud, and then the IBM Cloud certification, Cisco. So there are tons of other Java certification, and then .NET certification. Anything, whatever you do, try to get a certificate. Certification is very critical for anyone. So, like again, between 2017 and 2019, right, we already discussed job searches for roles related to cloud computing, including cloud infrastructure, cloud security, cloud architect, or anything related to cloud, right? So they have increased at least 108% from the hiring portal. So there are a lot of hiring portals across the world which are authentic. Employers post the jobs on their sites. So people look for cloud related jobs. So it has increased 108%. So that's why I suggest everyone do some research and then understand what they want to go, whether they want to go at the architect level, or they want to go at the developer level, or they want to go at the engineering level. So there are different career paths available, right? So you can select one path and then try to start and then join somewhere. And then after that, once you gain the experience, then you can get more certifications and try to move forward towards the career. So let's talk about what it is. Just okay. So basically, right, if you take any resume now, so people just search for cloud, and then they will say how many cloud skills this person has. Even for example, right, I get a lot of resumes from across the companies who wants to join people, and then I just look for cloud related things, what he has done in cloud, and then how he can help me in terms of for my business, right? That's what I look for. So same thing, right? So most of the employers, they just look for cloud computing skills, what type of experience you have, what certifications you have done, and then once they see the certification, I'm 100% sure you get at least the interview call. You will get an interview call. You will say at least, oh, he is officially certified, so let's talk to him. Because for every job, right, there are 100 people who apply, out of which 10 people have certification. Then we will be calling only 10 people with certification. So again, I'm insisting certification is one of the critical path for your career. So let's conclude. I think we are almost reached the end of the hour, right? I think we end of the time. Let's talk about what we have learned in this particular presentation. As I said, cloud computing is one of the fastest growing in IT industry currently. Every company, even it's take a small business or medium or large, everybody is moving to some cloud vendor. And then there is definitely a lot of business value realized by any customers by all sizes. And then cloud solutions are simple to acquire, don't require long-term contracts, and are easier to scale up and down as needed. So this is what we discussed. So how do we scale up and scale down? And then proper planning and migration services are needed to ensure a successful implementation. So this is one of the critical thing. So if you are moving from on-premises to any cloud service provider, AWS or Amazon or IBM, so you need a proper plan. How do we migrate your infrastructure, your applications to the new data center? So public and private clouds can be deployed. So the public and private clouds can be deployed together to leverage the best of both, right? That's what we discussed. And then we saw a couple of examples. And then the third party monitoring services ensure customers are getting the most of the cloud environment. Like for example, if one of the server is down, so you get an alert saying that that particular server is down, so someone will take immediate action. And if the utilization is high, if it is crossing 95% of the CPU, then you will get an alert. Then there's whoever is administering that particular server, so they will take action, and they'll try to make sure that the CPU is always within the limits. That's why we'll see the proper performance and everything. And then security, right? Security compliance and monitoring is achievable with careful planning and analysis. So security is very important for any cloud because they need to protect their own data, right? So I don't want some hackers to steal my data and publish over the public internet, right? So I don't want anything to happen for any of the customer data. So the security plays very important. And then the compliance, right? So every company has an audit processes. So we do some companies do a monthly audit, some companies do a annual audit, some will do half yearly. So depending upon what type of the compliance is needed for the company, so those audit procedures can be implemented in the system. So that way everything is audited as per the standards of industry, whether it is an ISO standard or it is like a regional standard, whatever the country specific standards, so everything can be implemented on the system. So with this, I will stop here. Lata madam or Venkat sir, someone can unmute whoever is wants to interest questions or anything, so we can try to give some 10 minutes for Q&A.
Sir, I'm Rajini. I'm going to pose the questions behalf of the participants, sir. So
Sure.
one question is, sir, what will be the cost to buy any cloud storage, and what is the best cloud storage to be purchased?
Yeah, so again, as I mentioned, right, there are multiple providers are there. So each has its own cost model. Depending upon how much storage you need, I'm talking about for organization, right? For organization, they talk about 100 terabytes or 1000 terabytes of data they will be purchasing in terms of storage. But again, I cannot tell this particular cloud provider has the cheapest option, or that one is the costly option, because it depending upon multiple factors, not just the storage, right? So you need to look a lot of other things. How is their network, and how is their accessibility, and how is their support model. You can say, for example, the storage might be free. I'll say some vendor will say, I will give you 2 terabytes of storage for like 100 rupees, right? So you will sign up for it, and then their support is bad, right? If something happens, nobody is responding, or if your server is down, nobody is responding. So that way, it is not just one factor we need to look for multiple factors in deciding the server or
Thank
storage.
So one more question is, as you have specified, there are a number of cloud certifications like AWS certification, Microsoft, etc. So can you please suggest any specific certification for the beginners like us who have just completed our graduation in computer science?
Yeah. So again, as I mentioned, right, there are multiple certification paths provided by multiple vendors. AWS certifications, because of the market value, AWS holds almost 80% of the market of the cloud services. Because of that, AWS certifications hold a lot of value. Like, for example, if you start with AWS operations certification, they call it AWS DevOps professional. So if you start with that, then that is a good thing for any of the graduate who is getting started, and then they can slowly go to the cloud practitioner, and then they can go to architect. So I just mentioned only 2 or 3 here, but if you really search AWS certifications career path in Google, so you will see the complete path, like how do you start it, and then how do you go all the way to the end. It's not just AWS, but if you go to Azure or GCP cloud, again Google Cloud, so they have a clear path defined for any professional. How do they start it? I suggest, in terms of market, AWS holds a lot of value, and then Azure comes next, and then the remaining all comes third. So remaining all comes third.
Thank you, sir. So as you people, when we are explaining about different skills, sir, if say suppose if participants wants to improve the skills as a DevOps tool or a Docker or a Linux, what certification you expect suggest us to go for?
Yeah, so those are all comes under development and operations, because developer is the one where you use all the Docker and Linux and the related to development, right? So the development tools, and then the Kubernetes, and then the DevOps and CI/CD pipeline. Everything comes under developer and operations. So similarly. For Microsoft. That again, I didn't. Again, there is a developer certificate, but there are a lot of certifications related to developer, especially for programmers like you. And then if some people wants to go to the Oracle database certification, right? So we have the Oracle database, different versions of Oracle database are available in the market. Like the current latest version is 19c or something, Oracle 19c. So you can get certified on Oracle 19c, and then that way, right, you'll have more weightage when you apply for jobs. So and then again, best ways, as I mentioned, search for it. Go to that AWS site or Google site or Azure site or IBM site. Look for certifications. It will list you like how much experience you need for each certificate, and then they will start the first with beginner. So the beginner is the level you can take. That's all. Like again, developer or the administrator. From there you can go all the way to the higher level.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you for this today. These were the queries, and I just wanted to propose a short vote of thanks on behalf of the
Rajani, 1 minute.
department. Yes,
Rajani,
sir.
1 minute.
Sir.
Rajani,
Yes,
1 minute. A small question from my side to for
Yeah, go ahead, Venkat.
Yeah, a very good morning, sir. So, as I said, I'm Dr. C.V. Satyanarayana from St. Joseph's College, and as a Vice Principal, I just introduced myself. So, my question is actually uh, from our college, we wanted to host actually a LMS, Learning Management System, by name Moodle.
Mhm.
Actually, we have an idea of hosting our own server at my own college with internet, 24 hours internet connection and a UPS. And the second alternate was going for an AWS. And
Mhm.
my apprehension, my point out here is when it comes to 1,500 students accessing the server at a time, will it be suggestible to go for AWS or having my own server at my place?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Satyanarayan Garu. That's a beautiful question. Again, so basically, since you are like one of the decision maker to decide whether to host on premises or you want to go to some provider, right? That's what you're looking for. You're confused
Yeah,
between.
yeah.
So my suggestion will be go to some provider. The reason is right now you can manage the you can buy the servers and then you can put it in your lab and then you can maintain and then you can do it. But what if some suddenly if like new patches are released and then if new security updates comes from different vendors and then someone has to physically apply all these patches and everything to each one of the system, and then like how do you back up the data, right? Like you need to have a separate resources available to take care of these backups. And then what happens if touchwood it won't happen, what if something happens and then entire power is shut down and then everything is like big disaster happens and then you are not able to even access any of the servers, right? So then at that time you will not have any other choice but to just shut down. Nobody can access any of your applications. So in terms of cost, you put it in cloud, then easy they will take care of everything, backups, and then they maintain patches, automatic updates and everything. You don't need to worry about how they maintain and everything. You just need to make sure that they're securely connected and then host the application there and then just log in and log out and then main administer.
Okay. And what if I'll go for a VPS, sir, virtual private network, which is provided by some web hosting servers?
Yeah. That's again web hosting. Again, you're talking about cloud vendor, right? So once you
Yeah,
go
that's
out
only cloud.
on premises, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there are a lot of providers are there. I just listed only like 6 or 7 in my
Yes.
presentation, but there are
Yeah.
literally lot of providers are there. Everybody is good, but you need to know whether you need to understand whether that requirement will suits or not. So based on that, you need to select the vendor.
Sir, any personal suggestion from you about any cloud service provider? Who will be the best, both
Again,
financially and technically?
yeah, I told right. So again, again to be partial, I work for IBM. I have my own cloud, so I should not be encouraging other vendors. But frankly, in terms of market capture, AWS is leading like way ahead of any other vendor. So.
Yes, yes, sir, yes, sir. So you suggest to go for AWS only, but it was a little bit costly, sir. When I just tested for 1 week, it costed me a little bit more. So I thought if I get any another alternate, it will be better or best.
Yeah. So there are a lot of other vendors. Maybe I can do one thing. I can send you separately. So I have some cost analysis from different vendors. So I
Yes.
can I can send you that information. So maybe that will help you whether to decide like which one to go.
Oh, that will be great, sir. That will be really great. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And
Thank
thank you
you.
for your wonderful presentation, sir. It was really nice because I have done my thesis in cloud computing only on SaaS.
Oh, nice. Very nice. So
So it was
software.
really good because you covered almost everything in cloud computing. Only thing is, I don't know how far my students got everything in one single stretch, but it was really nice. I think my faculty people will be very happy in understanding the architecture.
Yeah, thank you, Satyanarayan. I think that's a very good question. And then again, the only thing is, I don't want to go into detail because I just try to cover the basics, fundamentals, and then I try to cover all the services available. But maybe again, depending upon if anybody is are interested in some deep diving sessions, so we can conduct later. But for now, I think this is what I thought that will at least give some introduction to students about cloud computing.
Great. That's really great, sir. Thank you very much. Over to Rajani. So I'll be in touch with you, sir. Thank you.
Sure, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. It gives me immense pleasure and honor to propose vote of thanks to today's session resource person, Mr. Satish Nivarthi Garu, on behalf of Computer Science Department, St. Joseph Degree College, sir. I should first thank Satish Garu for being with us in spite of your busy schedule, accepted our invitation and have come online to enlighten all our participants with the knowledge and sharing it for the participants' benefits, sir. So we're really thankful from the bottom of our heart as you have provided the technical info from the basic to the broader extent using the real-time examples also, sir. And the presentation and the explanation was so clear and the concepts were so clear. Before we get any question, then immediately in the next slide, you're going to say about the answer to that query itself, sir. So there were very few questions to pose for you. And as it was very clear, sir, we are very happy to have you in our midst and sharing your knowledge with us, sir. Thank you very much. And I request all the participants to be there tomorrow for the same time, 10 to 12, as we are going to have the session on by Anand Prasad Garu. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Rajni, madam. Again, this is a wonderful opportunity for me to talk to you all. Again, I tried whatever is possible to cover the fundamentals of cloud. So hopefully, everybody who is attended this session, they will get some motivation to go and do some research and then try to start some career path. Again, the career path certifications are very valuable. Without certification, no company is going to look for the credentials of the resume. So I suggest everybody to start doing some research. Again, this is a wonderful opportunity. Thank you again, Rajni madam, and then Latarani madam, who is the head of the department, and then Satyanarayan Garu, and then Venkat Garu, who has given a wonderful introduction about the college. So this is again, I will also try to attend tomorrow's session, and then I will try to see if Anant needs any help. So I will try to answer any of the questions related to Oracle ERP, because I have experience not only in cloud but also I have done multiple solutions on application ERP, disaster recovery, and everything. Yeah, I will try to see if I can join tomorrow. But other than that, I think we had a very good audience today. A lot of very good questions, and then hopefully you all stay healthy and then safe, and then hopefully everybody will be healthy and safe during this tough Corona time.
Thank you, Satish. Thank you very much for your wonderful session. Thank you, Satish.
Yeah, thank you.